for today who's going to present a very interesting topic, which is ART success rate at Australian Concept from 2019 to 2024. Our next speaker is Professor Dr. Sadia Paul, who doesn't need any introduction. She's a known obs and gynae fertility specialist from Karachi. She graduated from Dow Medical College, earned MRCOG and Fellowship of Royal College of Obs and Gynae UK. She's a former member of RCOG International Representative Committee of Pakistan. She is former Vice President and Executive Member of Society of Obs and Gynae of Pakistan, Member of Editorial Board of Journal of Pakistan. She conducts regular training workshops on colposcopy, cervical screening. She is currently practicing as a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist at OMI Hospital Medical Clinic, and she is also working in Australian Concept for the last many years. I welcome Dr. Sadia Paul on stage. She's our special guest. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. आवाज आ रही है आप लोगों को? Today I'm just going to present to you we do regular audits at Concept Fertility Center in Karachi. It's been our tradition for many years since it started, and the Lahore Center also does it. So just sharing with you our results over the past few years. So basically this is a summary of our IVF-ICSI or ART data in 2024 from January to September, and we had a 37.1% positive pregnancy rate, and frozen embryos 3%, no egg retrieved 1.6%, no ED. These are gender selection patients where the couple, usually in our setup, there are very few who want a female, who are going through gender selection for a female fetus. Most of the requests are for a male fetus. However, we have had female requests as well and successfully done. So very often we find in the quest for the male fetus particularly, even after the embryos are fertilized and then observed, usually there's a problem with the male embryos and the females are thriving. So in those cases we are only getting the female embryos and the couple would not want to transfer them. Then degenerate, because of the degenerate eggs, 1.6%, and no fertilization of growth hormone, only 6.3%. This is over the years, from 2019 to 2024, this is retrospective over the 5-year data. Our success rate has generally been quite consistent. The figures tended to dip when COVID started, and this happened to all IVF centers all over the world, that the number of cases dropped. In fact, IVF centers stopped working altogether. It was halted until we came up with guidelines on how to restart IVF cycles or infertility cycles, because it was not considered an emergency. So we were, the obstetricians and gynecologists here are aware that what a great dilemma it was for us, because we had to continue doing obstetrics, we had to continue getting infected from patients doing obstetrics, and the body fluids that we were dealing with from infected patients. So वो तो हमारी मजबूरी थी, but ART मजबूरी नहीं थी. So hence it stopped. But I'm very proud to say that Pakistan was one of the first countries to come up with COVID guidelines for pregnant women, and gynecology and non-emergency cases were shelved. So when ART started, Concept Fertility Center in Karachi, we were one of the first centers that restarted IVF treatment in Pakistan. And we started with doing our frozen embryo transfers. So suddenly our patients woke up, जिन्होंने 10-10 साल हो गए थे उनके embryos frozen थे हमारे पास, they had forgotten about it, and maybe we also forgot that इन couples के भी पढ़े गए हैं, they contacted us and we did those, and we started doing older women, 40 plus जिनको हम पहले लिफ्ट ही नहीं कराते थे बिल्कुल. लिफ्ट क्या मतलब हम उनको ओपनली कहते हैं, अभी भी कहते हैं कि सक्सेस रेट इज वेरी लो, वी वुड नॉट एडवाइज यू टू गो थ्रू दिस. एवरीथिंग इज वेरी ऑनेस्ट एंड डॉक्यूमेंटेड. बट ड्यूरिंग कोविड आई थिंक एवरीवन चेंज्ड. Our psyche changed, our patient's psyche changed, and people wanted to have these embryos transferred, and successfully. So we've actually learned a lot from that lesson, and we have stopped refusing women who really want to, who are older, and after counseling they still want to try for a biological child of their own. So we do it. So, surprisingly, our success rates haven't plummeted, even though we are doing older women now. So, in 2019, our positive pregnancies were 136, and in 2020 it was 80, 2021 121, and similarly, as you can see, through the different years, and it also depends on the number of cases we are doing. So as you can see at the bottom, 2019 a lot of cases, then it drops, then it gets better towards the end of COVID, and it's kind of going around that figure, and we are doing older. So the positive rate is around average 42%. And no ET around 5.4%, no egg retrieval 2.6%. This often happens when you're doing older women. They have decreased ovarian reserve, and yet they still want to try. And we've had patients in which near 40 and around only 1 or 2 eggs developed. The women did get pregnant. 1 embryo formed, transfer done, and pregnancy happened. So who are we to refuse? So similarly, these are the kind of figures we have. In the summary of 2023, what happens to the HCG positive patients? So 61 were alive births out of 99. That makes it 61.6% take-home baby from the positive patients. The missed abortions, about 22%, ectopic, no ectopic, which is really good because, over the years we started, when we started, we had very senior gynecologists, Dr. Setna, myself, Dr. Razia Ahmed, who passed away recently, and we didn't really need to do this under ultrasound guidance, because evidence even at that time was showing that if an experienced gynecologist is doing transfers, their implantation rates are similar to those who are doing it under ultrasound guidance. However, our practice has shifted, and every embryo transfer is done under ultrasound guidance now. So this is really encouraging that we had no ectopic pregnancies. Chemical pregnancies about 9%, and in about 7% we do not have the information. So this is the summary. 65% gave live birth. The missed abortions about 20%, ectopic 0.6%. This is over the years from 2019 to 2023 September. And very low ectopic rate. So all in all, quite impressive, I would think. We should feel happy about it. So what about multiple pregnancies? We do offer single embryo transfer. However, our population likes having twins and triplets. Even they request कि जी 4 डाल दें, 3 डाल दें. But anyway, Even when we insert 2 embryos, very often only one survives. So most of our pregnancies are singleton, 50, twins 10, and only one triplet of the 61 pregnancies from 2023. This is the alive birth summary. This is the same data in the draft form. Now let's look at the frozen embryo transfers. We had 44% positive frozen embryo transfer rate, and out of the total 62 patients who underwent frozen embryo transfer in 2024. And over the years, our positive rate has been average 51%. So again, our frozen embryo transfer rate is pretty comparable to most IVF centers in the world. It's better than fresh embryo transfer, which is expected. And we do offer our patients elective freezing. When we have enough embryos and more embryos, we do offer that, since there is a good 10-15% difference in successful pregnancy. So in 2023, 26 patients have delivered, which makes it nearly 58% of the pregnant patients have delivered. 1 chemical pregnancy, 9 missed abortions, 9 have been lost to follow-up. A lot of our patients have their procedure done, then they proceed abroad. They've come from abroad, this is medical tourism as well, come from UAE and other nearby countries, England, US, Canada, Australia, हर जगह से आते हैं because IVF is still cheaper in Pakistan. Those of you who are doing this here, I'm sure are aware of it. So it's a good option, and now recently we've had more and more requests for elective egg freezing. This is as our women or girls, let's say, are marrying later and later and are choosing, keeping their choices open for having a biological child of their own once they meet the right man and decide to get married. So this is happening in Pakistan also, and I'm glad to say we have excellent embryologists, and we are very lucky that they're able to do this as well, because egg freezing is an advanced part of IVF management. So this is the positive patient summary, which I've already reflected on, but over the years, generally speaking, 55.2% live births on average is, I think, one should be happy about that. And I've already mentioned this. This is the live birth summary. And this is another aspect of our management, just a couple of slides I thought I would show, because I'm not sure how many people are doing IVF in this hall, infertility, ovarian stimulation, hyperstimulation. Okay, so nobody's raising their hands. Okay, good. So how many of you are using carbagoline to prevent hyperstimulation? Alright, so this is something which is, we've been doing it for a few years now at our center, and this works marvelously. It's excellent because our incidence of ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome was already, it was according to the standards, but since we started using it, I was the first consultant to start using it in my patients. Some of my colleagues did not want to use it. However, we read up on it, we read up on the trials, we attended seminars, and we spoke to people who were using it. And we did an audit, and we combined it with low dose aspirin, 75 milligram. and patients with estradiol levels of 8,000 or above were given treatment from the day of egg pickup. The dose of carbagoline, which comes under the name of Dostinex, was 0.25 milligram once daily, and low-dose aspirin or Ascard 75 milligram once daily per oral for 5 days, followed by Dostinex 0.25 milligram one every alternate day for 3 days, along with Ascard. And Ascard was continued till fetal heartbeat and at 7 weeks. So based on the ultrasound of day 6 after the egg pickup, the patients were categorized as following: no hyperstimulation, M is mild hyperstimulation, M2 is moderate hyperstimulation, and S is severe hyperstimulation. So these were our figures, and those without Dostinex and Ascard, no hyperstimulation 46 and 40, and moderate 36, 57, and more severe ones 2 and 3, and severe 16 and 0. So as you can see, there were far fewer no severe hyperstimulations in this, and we were using we were being conservative, using a lower dose of Ascard as well as Dostinex. So higher doses, when you look at the literature, people have used higher doses. Out of 100 patients that were not given Dostinex and Ascard after their egg pickup, 16 had severe hyperstimulation. No severe hyperstimulation was reported in a batch of 100 patients that were given Dostinex and Ascard. So, I mean, our coordinators and nurses who generally follow up our patients, ever since we started using carbagoline for suspected or high-risk patients who are showing all the signs and symptoms of hyperstimulation, this has really been very useful for us, and we hardly ever see hyperstimulation. We hardly have to do hospitalizations. I can't remember the last patient of mine, I can only speak about myself, that needed hospitalization for hyperstimulation. So outpatient management, and virtually we hardly ever have to give even intravenous albumin. So conservative manage, which is much cheaper, and something that Dr. Setna really insisted on when he was alive, was giving a high protein diet. So our staff is very keyed up on that, and giving egg white whipped in milk, or high proteins, giving boiled eggs or whatever. So they really counsel our patients, and this has resulted in a cheaper way of managing these patients and safer as well. So I'll thank you there. Thank you.
Now I would like to call upon stage Mr. Shahid Shakur, our CEO, and we have to give a word of excellence to our expert, Dr. Sadia Paul. She has a long experience in infertility. Thank you, Dr. Sadia, for a lovely presentation.